Hello folks, it's the Pace Chaser again. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is the third part of a series where we're looking at the former tram and trolleybus routes in the Grimsby and Cleethorpes area, or in the case of this morning's video, a tram route. It was never converted to a trolleybus. We're going to look at the route of Bargate. So we're in Grimsby town centre. It's 7:40 on a Sunday morning, June 2022. I've got Alfie the border collie with me again. There you go. So in the last part of this we looked at the tram routes through Grimsby town centre, and I explained that they followed a one-way system. So the trams heading from Cleethorpes towards Bargate would have come along here towards us. This is Bethlehem Street, so it would have been a single line heading towards us in this direction only. About next to where I'm standing there would have been a set of points, and the Cleethorpes bound track would have gone off to the left. You can see the alignment in that wall opposite where the road ran, and it ran through where this more modern building is now to the old marketplace. So that was the Cleethorpes bound track, and then there was a single line in the road here which would have been used by trams in both directions. So this route was opened from Park Street on the Grimsby and Cleethorpes boundary through to the Wheatsheaf Hotel on Bargate in 1881. It was opened as a horse-drawn tramway. In 1901 it was converted to electric, although this part had to be closed temporarily for the conversion to take place because it was a single line and they couldn't do it with trams running. So they closed it temporarily. It reopened in June 1902 as an electric tramway, at which point it was extended from the Wheatsheaf down Welholme Road to the People's Park. In the meantime, at the other end, in 1887, it had been extended from Park Street up to Cleethorpes. So the electric trams ran on this route until 1928, at which point the route between Grimsby town centre and the People's Park was closed. It wasn't thought worthwhile to convert it to a trolleybus route. It wasn't worth the expense, so they replaced the tram service with motor buses. From that point onwards, the trams would have terminated here, so they would just run to the point here just past the junction. They would have changed direction and gone back through to the old marketplace and back to Cleethorpes. So at this point Bethlehem Street becomes Church Lane, and as I say, it would have been a single line of tramway for a very short distance, and then it would have gone into double track here as the road begins to climb and twist round. Although this was a single track route with passing places, the awkward bits where it went round sort of sharp bends and up gradients were double track, so there was no risk of trams meeting each other head on. As you can see, the road's climbing. We're just opposite Grimsby Minster. The road is climbing up, and that's to gain height to get over the railway line. So just opposite Grimsby Minster again, you can see a better view of it there, looking lovely in the early morning sunshine. You can see here as well the original iron balustrading on the approach to the bridge over the railway. So Bargate back in the day was the only route in and out of Grimsby. The original settlement of Grimsby was around where the town centre is now. In medieval times it grew up because there was a creek coming off the River Humber which provided like a sheltered harbour, a natural harbour. That creek split into two, and the two branches of it went either side of the area where we are now, and between those and various marshes the settlement of Grimsby was more or less an island. There was only one road in and out of it, which was Bargate, where we're about to go now. By the end of the 16th century the creek had silted up, so the sort of port business had more or less ceased altogether, and it remained moribund until the end of the 18th century. About 1796 they started to dig out the creek and build a proper dock, and then there was modest expansion through the early part of the 19th century until the railway arrived in 1848, when the town started to expand massively. The docks were expanded and the town expanded outwards. When they built the horse tramway in 1881, a lot of the development of the older part of Grimsby that we know wasn't there. It was either in the planning stage or it hadn't even been started yet. So the original settlement around the town centre and down Bargate was where the housing was. So that's why the tramway was built originally. Unfortunately for the tramway promoters, the area around Bargate became quite exclusive. A lot of the older buildings were demolished and replaced with large houses, the wealthy residents of which wouldn't have made any use of the tramway. Possibly the servants would if they were running errands or on their afternoon off. So when it was electrified, it was extended down to the People's Park to increase the trade. What little bit of free time people had back in those days, they would spend at local beauty spots or parks. So it was quite popular. They took quite a lot of people down, say, Sunday afternoons to the People's Park. So the tramway, still double track, came out of Church Lane here, turned left onto Deansgate Bridge. You can see again parts of the original bridge. The iron railings still exist. The middle part over the railway itself has been rebuilt and it's all been strengthened underneath, but it's lovely to see the original parts of the iron bridge still there. So the tramway was still double tracked down here as it came off the bridge, and it went into single just as we get down back to normal ground level at the bottom there. Just seen in there on the way down, there is a long forgotten walkway down to the bottom of the bridge there. As you can see, they've filled in the gap where it was, but they've actually used part of the original iron railing, which I'm assuming they've recovered from the central part of the bridge that they've rebuilt. So they've made a real effort to blend that in. So here we are at the bottom of the approach slope to the bridge. Just turn round, you can see Deansgate Bridge back there. So again, the tramway would have gone down from 2 tracks to 1 just here where this road junction is, with Dudley Street off to the right, and the single track would have continued straight on into Bargate, where we're going to go now. So we're just on Bargate now. You can see it retains quite a lovely period feel. In fact, you wouldn't be surprised if a tram came towards you in the middle of the road now. The first of the passing loops was just here by St Martin's School. It was only a short loop, it was just long enough for a tram to stand in whilst another one passed it in the opposite direction. So another view of Bargate here. The school we're looking at, where the passing loop was, is actually St James's School. St Martin's have put an advert for themselves. They're actually further down the road. They've somewhat cheekily put an advert board on the end there, which confuses the issue slightly, but it is St James's School. So again, just looking back to where the white car's going, that's where the passing loop was for the trams. If we look back along Bargate, you can see this sort of green area off to the left, which I think is part of the original kind of settlement. The large houses, a lot of them are offices, clinics and or flats. They've been split down into flats, but as you can see, it's still quite an exclusive area. So it was a very short and compact route was this. This is the site of the second passing loop, the end of Abbey Road, which is the road just where that wall is beyond the black car. So if we look back along, you can see the signs for the school, the first passing loop again just beyond that bend in the road where the school is. If we look the other way, you can see where the car's stopping in the distance, the traffic lights. That was actually the terminus. So as you can see, it was a very short route. So the, as I said, the second passing loop just here at the end of Abbey Road. So we're just approaching the horse tram terminus at the Wheatsheaf Hotel. At this point, the track would have gone into double track again, so that one tram could arrive and the other one could get straight off. At the very end, just before where the traffic lights now are, it would have gone into single track, so the tram coming in would have run onto that bit, the horse would have gone on from one end to the other, and then it would have pulled forward onto the second track. As it would have waited until the next tram arrived, then it could get straight off and maintain the frequency. If we turn back around, you can see the site of the Abbey Road loop, just where the pillar box is in the far distance. Just on my left here are some old cottages. These are the kind of buildings that would have been along Bargate before it was redeveloped in Victorian times. So these are some of the last remnants of the old settlement before the expansion of Grimsby really began. So we're standing now at the horse tram terminus. You can see the bus stop opposite. That's the equivalent modern stop to the tram terminus, the Wheatsheaf Hotel. Now the Wheatsheaf that's here now isn't the one that was the tram terminus. The original Wheatsheaf was on the opposite side of the road where the houses are there. I'm guessing it was demolished around the 1930s, looking at the architecture there, at which point the pub business moved across the road into this building. This had previously been a private house called Bank House. Incidentally, if you're looking for a decent pub in the Grimsby area, nice pint, something to eat, you can do a lot worse than this one. It's recommended. But yeah, so the tram terminus at the Wheatsheaf was just across the road there somewhere. and it would have been an older building, a bit like the cottages that we've just seen. So when the route was electrified in 1902, the trams continued to the People's Park, and it did that by going around this corner just ahead of me into Welholme Road. As you can see, it's quite a sharp corner, but it wouldn't have been a problem for trams. They could get round corners that were more or less square. The double track would have extended around the corner again, so there was no risk of trams meeting each other head on going round the corner, so that would have been extended round there, and we'll go around now into Welholme Road. So we've come around the corner into Willow Road. Again, you can see it retains a period character. You wouldn't be surprised to see a tram heading towards you. Just going to turn back, you can see the trams would have gone round to the right, back into Bargate there. Just apologise as well for the amount of traffic that there is this morning. Part of the logic of being out this early on a Sunday morning was we hoped to avoid too much traffic noise, but unfortunately it's not quite worked. Also, we're in a run of hot weather. It's the end of June 2022. So I thought I'd give Alfie his walk before it got too warm. So immediately once it got round the corner, the tramway would have gone back to single track down the middle of the road, so it would have been single line here. So we're just on Welholme Road at the junction with Park Drive. We're just going to look back round towards Bargate. You can see the route behind me there where we've just come. So this would have been the first of the stops that served the People's Park. You can see the entranceway just across the road there. From here on to the Terminus it would have been double track. Just going to cross over. As you can see, still a very exclusive part of Grimsby, an area where the residents wouldn't have made much use of the tramway, but it would have brought large numbers of people into the People's Park. As I say, it was double track from here down to the Terminus. At the very end, which is where that car is in the distance, just heading away from us, it would have gone down to single track, so trams would have run down the left-hand side, the left-hand track. At the very end, if they got onto the single bit, they would have changed direction, gone over the point work and come back along the right-hand track. Now, I'm only speculating on this, but I think at busy times when lots of people wanted to come to the park all at once and then leave all at once a few hours later, they might have used one of the tracks to stand trams on and just worked trams that were still in service on and off the other one, but that is only speculation. Just before I set off from here, I just want to show you this lovely post here. As far as I know, this isn't a tramway support pole, but it is contemporary with them. It does show the style that they would have been in. I think it's actually a metal telegraph pole, but I'm not 100% sure. It might even be a sewer vent, but whatever it is, it's I don't think it's a tramway pole. It's too far across, but as I say, it's in a similar style to the tramway poles that would have been here. It just gives you some idea of how it would have all looked. So we're just approaching the terminus of the electric tramway. I'll just turn back around so you can see towards Bargate again. As I say, this route was abandoned as a tramway in 1928. It wasn't thought worthwhile to go to the expense of converting it to a trolleybus route, so the trams were replaced between the town centre and the People's Park with ordinary buses, or motor buses as they were referred to back then. And so here we are at the terminus. Just have a look back towards Bargate again. There we go. If we just go around this corner, you can see the other entrance to the People's Park. So the idea was that you could get off the tram further back, walk through the park and then get back on here to go back again. So there you go, there's the other entrance to the park. If we look down Welholme Road, you can see the traffic lights in the distance there. That was a level crossing over a railway line. The road that goes across it now is built on the trackbed of a railway. Just beyond it there's a terminus of the Hittington Avenue tram route that I covered in the first part of this series. As I said then, permission was sought because the termini were so close together to link them together to form like a circular route, and permission was actually granted. The route was authorised, but it was never built because the Great Northern Railway, who operated the railway line across the level crossing just in the middle distance there, they wouldn't authorise the trams to cross their railway, so that was never built, which is a bit of a shame. But as it was, the Hittington Avenue route was abandoned in 1926. It was converted to trolleybuses, as I said in that part, in that video should I say, and this tramway was abandoned in 1928. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Me and Alfie are off now to get some breakfast. So if you've liked what you've seen, please press the like button so other people can find the video easier on YouTube. Please check out my other videos. As I said, there's two more parts of this series, the one looking at Hittington Avenue and the one looking at Grimsby Town Centre. There's various other bits and pieces on my channel as well. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.